We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Viddishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Prasno Bashyam. We are in the 4th chapter, and we are studying verse number 5. Any Bhashyam study is a very intensive study. So you need a lot of patience to go through the Bhashyam to get the final meaning of what Shankaracharya is trying to explain. Especially in this verse, the 5th verse, Shankaracharya writes a very big commentary. The whole volume is more than 120 pages, is written for one verse. And in that verse, for one sentence, Shankaracharya writes 5 pages of Sanskrit commentary. So right now we are absolutely in the middle of that portion of Prasno Upanishad, which is a very, very intense discussion on the 3 avasthas. The Jagrat avastha, the waking state, the dream state, and the sleep state. In Mandukya Upanishad, we also study the 3 states. There, yukti or reasoning or logic is the primary pramanam which is being used in Mandukya. Here in Prashno Upanishad, we are learning how I can use my experience, anubhava, for understanding the scriptures. The scriptures have a totally different vision about my nature. Totally different. Unless I study the scriptures properly, and especially with the help of a bhashya written by Shankaracharya, you can never go into the depth of our personality. So, in the next 3-4 sessions, you have to have patience and slowly pick up the teaching. Because we will be very, very slow in our learning the ultimate teaching. The ultimate teaching will come after 4 sessions. For this one verse, for verse number 5, we will probably have 4 or 5 sessions. This Bhashyam, Shankaracharya is trying to mainly focus on the dream state. Normally speaking, we will never understand, never try to analyze the dream state like this, how we are doing in the Prashno Bhashyam. Nobody will analyze the dream and the sleep in this fashion as described in the Upanishads. Nobody. 99.9% of the people will just go to sleep, get up in the morning, say they had a good dream, and then they will forget about it, and then they'll carry on. That's all. But what really happened in the dream, what happened in the sleep, what is happening in the waking state, and is there something which is beyond these three states, is the question of a seeker who comes to the Veda. A person who comes to seek in the Veda is a very intelligent person. Intelligent may not be from the worldly standpoint, but from the spiritual standpoint, he is extremely intelligent. He wants to know. He has analyzed himself, his experiences, and he wants to know the truth of this world, which is a very big thing. It's not easy. We are talking about the truth of the individual jiva and the truth of the entire universe. That is the seeking. That is the search which is happening in this Prasno Upanishad Bhashya. So with this short introduction, I will go to where we stopped last week. And that is, we were looking at the introduction to the fifth verse. Shankaracharya writes about 18 points for this verse 5, about 18-20 points. Like this, 18-20 sentences are there written by Shankaracharya. And the explanation of those sentences runs into 120 pages. So for 120, 130 pages slides, we'll be studying only verse number 5. As you go and listen to this discussion, you should keep in mind, or if you are taking notes, you should make two columns. What is Shankaracharya's view? What is the debater Purva Pakshi's view? Because then only for all this you will find a connection. My notes are only trying to explain. But if I had the time, I would probably do it in another way. So those who are interested to study this very, very clearly, you should try to understand what is the view of the opponent and what is Shankaracharya's view about the dream state, waking state, sleep state. Because after 4 or 5 sessions, you will get the gist, you will get the central idea of what Shankaracharya is trying to convey in 18 commentaries, paragraphs which he has written. His conclusion comes only in the end, but then he is debating with the Purva Pakshi. 2 questions are asked by Sauryayani, which has been answered. Totally, there are 5 questions, and what we are studying is 2 questions are over. Who sleeps during sleep, in the sleep state? Who experiences the dream, and who is awake in the dream? Who experiences the dream is what we are going to study now. Who sleeps in the dream? Who means here what? Who here means the jiva who is connected with the mind is sleeping. That jiva is what? He's got ignorance about his wakerhood, number 1. He also has an ignorance about his real nature, which is Atma. So a sleeper has got 2 ignorances. He is ignorant about the waker. The waker I, he doesn't know. He also doesn't know the Turiyam I. Now, the question asked by the student is, Who is experiencing the dream? For this particular verse is the explanation. Now let's try to understand. First, listen to Vijaya, who is chanting this verse, which is from the Upanishad. This is the fifth mantra of the Upanishad of chapter 4.
अत्र एष देवः अत्र एष देवः स्वप्ने महिमानमनुभवति स्वप्ने महिमानम् अनुभवति यद्दृष्टं दृष्टम् अनुपश्यति यद्दृष्टं दृष्टम् अनुपश्यति श्रुतं श्रुतमेवार्थमनुशृणोति श्रुतं श्रुतमेवार्थम् अनुशृणोति देशदिगन्तरैश्च देशदिगन्तरैश्च प्रत्यनुभूतं पुनः पुनः प्रत्यनुभवति प्रत्यनुभूतं पुनः पुनः प्रत्यनुभवति दृष्टं चादृष्टं च दृष्टं चादृष्टं च श्रुतं चाश्रुतं च श्रुतं चाश्रुतं च अनुभूतं चाननुभूतं च अनुभूतं चाननुभूतं च सच्च सच्च सर्वं पश्यति सर्वः पश्यति सर्वं पश्यति सर्वः पश्यति.
So in this mantra, the Upanishad is asking the question, who is the enjoyer of the dream? And it states, the mind enjoys the dream and its glory, its own glory. This is the statement of the Upanishad. This first statement is analyzed by Shankaracharya in 5 pages of commentary in Sanskrit. The same 5 pages I'm going to explain in 100 pages, 120 pages of these slides. As you go through these pages and the explanation slowly, it may be a little bit of a repetition in some areas, but it is meant to get the deeper meaning of this analysis. So in the dream, the Upanishad says, whatever has been heard or seen in the waking state, in different places, in different janmas, the same thing is being experienced in the dream. What has not been seen in this birth, but may have been seen in the previous birth. What is real experience? What is unreal experience? All this is experienced in the dreams. This is a simple explanation of the dream, but it has got a lot of hidden meaning about the whole experience of dream. Eshaha Deva. This mind enjoys the glory. So who enjoys dream? Upanishad says Deva. Now Deva in Sanskrit has got different meanings. Indra Deva, Varuna Deva. That is, the Devata is also called as Deva, number 1. In Ishavasya Upanishad, I have quoted verse number 4 below. Here Deva is used for sense organs. Anejadekam manaso javiyo nainat deva apnuvan purvamarshate. Here deva is used as indriyas. Indriyas are called devas. Deva also has a meaning of brilliancy, effulgent. And the fourth meaning is Atma. So you can see there are four meanings, and the Purva Pakshi opponent is confused. The Siddhantin Shankaracharya is very, very clear. Deva means it is brilliancy enjoyed by the mind. And Deva also means the mind. In Kena Upanishad, the first chapter, first mantra, Kene Shitam Patati Preshitam Manaha, Kena Pranaha Pratamam Praiti Yuktaha, Kene Shitam Vachavimam Vadanti Chakshushotra Kau Devo Yunakti. So here, the Devata is the Atma. Who willed by whom and directed by whom that the eyes are seeing, the mind is able to think, the pranas are breathed, the pranas are functioning in the body. It is willed by whom, directed by whom. How does one speak like I am speaking? But what is behind me? It is the Atma. So the analysis is called Mimamsa. Which meaning should we take for Deva? This is the central question of the Purva Paksha, which is being analyzed in many, many pages. We're going to see a lot of analysis on the word Deva. In this Prasno Upanishad, in the second verse of the fourth chapter, same verse, the same chapter. We are in the fifth verse. In the second verse of this Prasno Upanishad, we talked about the example of the sun. I'm sure all of you remember that the talk which we had regarding the sun, which brings forth these Surya, the Surya rays. Every day it brings out, and then it takes back the Surya rays in the night. So there in the second mantra, Deva is compared to the mind, which brings out the rays of the consciousness to the sense organs to see the world, and withdraws the consciousness from the world to the indriyas and to the mind. So when it withdraws, then we say the person is sleeping. So the 10 sense organs, they merge into the great Deva, which was mentioned in mantra number 2. So Deva there was Pare Deve Manasi Eki Bhavati. Deva was used with the meaning of the mind. Now the Purva Pakshi is asking, who is experiencing the dream? Consciousness alone illumines the dream and experiences the dream. It is not the mind which experiences. This is the contention of Purva Pakshi, which is a wrong idea. We will see what Shankaracharya is going to say in the end. Right now, we are discussing what the Purva Pakshi. Now the debate is started. Purva Pakshi says it is the consciousness which is illumining the dream directly, without the mind. and it is consciousness which is experiencing the dream. First of all, you should understand what the opponent is saying. Then only you will understand Shankaracharya's explanation. Chaitanyam alone illumines the experiences in the dream. It alone experiences the Jagrat Avastha. It alone experiences the Sushupti Avastha, where the mind is resolved. So, Purva Pakshi is saying consciousness is the experiencer. He is asking Shankaracharya, why are you taking mind as the experiencer? Try to understand the question, because then only the whole debate, which will run into 4 classes, will become interesting for you. This type of analysis is required for us to understand our nature as Atma. Upanishad says mind experiences its glory. Mind has got the capacity to divide itself into duality, subject and object. Isn't it true? In the dream state, what happens? The mind itself divides into the dreamer and the dream world. What Shankaracharya will say in the later stage is, he says the same mind will divide in the waking state also, the waker and the waking world. So the subject is the experiencer individual, which is the mind. The objects like the tiger, the sunset and the sunrise seen in the dream is also the mind itself. Sometimes you see when you play carom, one person can, I mean, for those who know what is carom board and carom as a game, one person will play the white coin from this side, and he will go himself to the opposite side and play the black. Or in chess, one will play the white king and queen and go to the other side and play the black king and queen. So similarly, the subject part of the mind experiences the object part of the mind. That is what the Purvapakshi said. Dakshinamurti Stotram, verse number 8. Vishyam pashyati karya karanataya swaswami sambandataha शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्राध्यात्मना भेदतः स्वप्ने जागृति वा एष पुरुषो माया परिभ्रामितः तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्री दक्षिणामूर्तये. Very beautiful verses of Dakshinamurti. The whole Vedanta is there in the Dakshinamurti Stotra. Complete Vedanta. But you should know how to open up these mantras. So here it says in Dakshinamurti Stotram that because of the effect of Maya, the mind divides itself into the subject and object. Now, this is the job of Maya. Maya is like the magician. In a magic show, the magician can give you the illusion of so many objects. This Lord of the universe is a great magician. He can bring out the whole universe. In the waking state, we don't say that the mind divides into 2. What we say is Maya. Maya Shakti of Ishvara. The Karana Shariram, Karana Prapancha divides itself into subject and object. But it is blessed by consciousness. So the duality which is caused in the dream state and the waking state is a result of a power. In the dream, it is Nidra Shakti, the power to sleep. In the waking, it is the power of Maya, which covers my real nature and projects this entire universe of the waking. The phenomena is the same. Duality is caused both in waking and dream. What Shankaracharya says is duality is mithya because it is a product, it is a karyam. Satyam is the adhishtanam for waking and dream. That Satyam is consciousness, it is Chaitanyam. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 28th verse. Very important verse for the analysis of duality. Tattva महाभाहो गुणकर्म विभागयोः गुणा गुणेषु वर्तन्त इति मत्वा न सज्जते. The division which is seen in the world is according to the gunas of Prakriti. Prakriti has got gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. Due to this change of Prakriti, which is matter principle, we see vyavahara, we see activity in the universe. But what do we think? We think I am doing the action. I, the consciousness, I, the Atma, we superimpose the Atma's qualities of Satyatvam on the body and we take the attributes of the body as my attributes. This is what is called as adhyas. So, who experiences the dream? Who says one part experience the other part in dream. Dream experiences are gathered from waking. Now, definition of dream in the Tattva Bodha is that it is a projected state while the mind is sleeping. Mind is sleeping, but it is projecting what? The impressions which are there in the Karana Sharira. Now, impressions of the waking state are taken up and deposited in the Karana Sharira. The same Karana Shariram is projected with the help of mind in the dream state. And that self, that consciousness, which is identified with the body, the subtle body, is called as Taijasa, which we have seen in Mandukya Upanishad also. So whatever is being collected in the waking state as a vasana, we experience in dream. That is topic number 138. This topic runs till 156. Many messages are given by Shankaracharya in this 5th verse of chapter 4. Very long commentary. But at the end, you will really enjoy it because the conclusion is very beautiful. You have to wait slowly so that he takes us step by step. He will bring all the Purva Pakshi ideas so that we become clear of what is Atma and what is mind. Now, here in this paragraph in 139, what he states is, in the dream state, which is called as the middle state between the waking and sleep, it is the middle state. Antarala Estha. Middle state, intermediary state between sleep and waking. See, the sleep state is all of us we experience. No world is there, nothing is there. I am also not there, but it's complete emptiness. And the waking state, the whole world is there. And in between, sandwiched in between, is this dream state. What is the basic difference between the waking and dream? The basic difference is our sense organs of knowledge and action, they are resolved in the dream state. Sense organs are resolved. That means the indriyas, the five jnana indriyas and the five karma indriyas are resolved. But what is active in the dream? Mind is active, not with the help of external objects, but with internal vasanas of the Karana Sharira. And who is protecting and who is helping the mind to experience the dream? It is the prana shakti of the subtle body, of the jiva. The sthula shariram has got no function. It is only, the prana is only keeping the sthula shariram alive. The indriyas are sleeping, they are passive condition. When 10 sense organs have resolved, the pancha pranas have not resolved, they preserve the body. So when you want to describe what is a dream state, you can say, dream state is a state where the sense organs are resolved, number one. Or you can say, dream state is the state where prana is awake. Or that is the second description. Third description is, dream is a state where mind is not resolved. All three are correct. Before mind goes to sleep, the intermediary state, the antarala avastha, is the dream state. So Deva, in this fifth mantra, can be said to be mind which has absorbed the 10 sense organs to itself. Arkarashmi, which we have seen in the second mantra of the fourth chapter. Arkarashmi means the sun rays. As the sun rays are absorbed by the solar disk, similarly, the rays of the indriyas are absorbed by the mind. So here the question is that Deva, is it the Atma or is it the mind? So Shankaracharya says, don't use logic. Always give Veda the importance. Go through the Veda to understand all the topics which are connected with the spiritual side. The spiritual side of that individual or of the world is called as apaurushaya vishaya. Paurushaya vishaya means what? Paurushaya vishaya means something which I can know through the sense organs, the indriyas and the mind. Atma cannot be known. What is happening in the dream state and the sleep state cannot be known by the indriyas. Neither it can be known by the mind. In this case, what do we do as spiritual seekers? The other people will say, I will use logic. But what Veda, what Upanishad says is, logic cannot be used because logic, this area has no access to logic. It is accessible only to Pramanam, which is Veda Pramanam. So other schools like Astika schools, Astika means those who believe in the Vedas, are Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, and Purvamimamsa. 5 schools are there. Uttaramimamsa is our school, Vedanta school, which is Shankaracharya. The other five schools are Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Purva. They all accept Veda, but then they draw different conclusions, and from the same Veda, they draw different conclusions. The Buddhists and the Jains, they are Tarka Pradhan. That means they use logic. Whereas Shankaracharya uses Veda as a primary Praman. When you use the Veda as a primary Pramanam, you will say Deva is the mind, it is not the consciousness. It is the mind which bifurcates into subject and object. This is a very, very unique thing you will never know from science. You will know only from the Veda. Science will never say that the mind can bifurcate as subject and object. Veda alone says mind can divide itself into subject and object. Object is Vishaya, Bhogya Vastu, the experienced Vastu, experienced objects. What is Vishayi or Lakshanam? Vishayi means the subject, Bhoktru. I am the enjoyer and the world is enjoyed. But both these are nothing but the mind according to Veda. Organs are many, but mind is one which bifurcates this world into two, subject and object. It is clearly seen in the dream, but in the waking, it is not known so clearly. That is why it is called as the glory of the mind. Upanishad in the fifth mantra says that the mind is glorious because it can bifurcate into subject and object. This type of analysis you don't even see in the Mandukya Upanishad. Prasno Upanishad analysis of the three states is very unique. When you finish this fifth question, you will really appreciate the knowledge which Veda has. Now, the next portion is just a revision. I will not go into the depth of it. This is kept for those people who are going through the notes regularly so that they can understand the subject matter better. The effulgent one, is it the Atma or is it the mind? Deva, in the fifth mantra, in the first line of the fifth mantra, is it Atma, Swayam Prakasha, Kaha, Atma, which is self-effulgent, or is it the mind which is effulgent? There is one self-effulgent, another is effulgent. Atra Esha Devaha, mind enjoys its glory, but it does not say mind sees the soul. Shankaracharya says mind enjoys its glory, but what is the glory of the mind? To divide itself between subject and object. Mind does not, the Upanishad does not say that mind sees the dream. Seeing is always belongs to the consciousness entity. Glory of the mind is a capacity to divide itself into subject and object. Subject part of the mind experience the object part of the mind. One part of the mind experience the other part. Like one part of the hand can use the other part of the hand. Similarly, one part of the mind uses the other. In the what is the difference between waking and dream? In the waking, the five jnana indriyas and the karma indriyas are active. It is added up with the help of mind to the mind. In the dream, it is withdrawn. Our sense organs are withdrawn. Purva Pakshi, that debater, is asking, how can you equate Devaha with the mind? Deva must be only the Atma, because effulgence is only Atma. So why are you taking the mind? Mind, according to Siddhanta, mind experiences the dream. Atma experiences the dream. Purva Pakshi seems to be more correct. Shankaracharya refutes that Atma is the experiencer of the dream. He will reply this later. But we will see how he does it very beautifully. He brings in a lot of theories to refute the Purva-Pakshi. So the bottom line is Deva is the mind, it is not the Atma. So that is one topic of Shankaracharya, which is 139. Next topic is 140. Purva Pakshi is not going to keep quiet. See, now in this portion of 4 or 5 pages of Hindi Sanskrit commentary, there is a lot of analysis of the Purva Pakshi and Shankaracharya. Both of them will bring different Brihadaranyaka Upanishadic mantras. About 6 mantras are brought up for the analysis of the dream state and the sleep state. That is why this commentary becomes a very long commentary. So what does the Purva Pakshi say? Mind should be treated as an instrument of an experience. Also, it's the glory. As an instrument, it is the glory. That is what Purva Pakshi is saying. Mind is an instrument. It is not the experiencer. Experiencer is only Atma. For Atma, mind is instrument. Manaha karanam bhavati. Mind is an instrument. This is the Purva Pakshi's version. Atma is the experiencer. Mind is the instrument. Mind can't be treated as an experiencer. Experiencer has to be always Atma because it is the effulgent one. How do you say that the mind is an experiencer? Experiencer must be independent. Karta must be, subject must be independent. Instrument always depends on the subject. The mind is an instrument, it will depend on Atma. How you treat mind as an independent experiencer. Kshetrajna, in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Atma alone is the experiencer, subject, Kshetrajna. Mind is an instrument. Therefore, Deva is not the mind, but it is the experiencer Atma. That is what is the Purva Pakshi saying. See how Shankaracharya builds the entire debate. Very interesting. It will become very interesting as you listen to this entire conversation between the Purva Pakshi and Shankaracharya. Topic number 141. This will go on till 156. Long commentary. Here, Shankaracharya brings Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, 4th chapter, 3rd section, 7th mantra. Atma by itself can never become experiencer. See, when we do this type of Bhashyam study, we learn to recognize Atma, to recognize mind, recognize the function of the indriyams, or this through the Bashyam, through the commentary, we are able to recognize what is the role of all this. Any experience requires two things. Number one, consciousness. That is the revealer, illuminator. The second thing is the thought. A thought is always required for experience. Whether it is in sleep state, where there is a thought of Karana Shariram, that I don't know anything, that is the thought of Karana Shariram. In the dream state, it is the thoughts built up by the vasanas. In the waking state, it is the thought coming from the perceptions of these sense organs. See the grand picture of Vedanta. There is a light which reveals the matter principle, which is the gross universe, the subtle universe, and the causal universe. Universe or Jagat is divided into three portions: Sthulam, Sukshmam, Karan. Whole Prapancha, whole universe, all matter Jada by nature, Prakriti, Maya Shakti, Avidya, ignorance. All this is all related to the Jagat. But Satyam is consciousness. Without consciousness, there is no Jagat. Atma portion has got consciousness. Consciousness does not have the vritti portion. This is the beauty of Prasno Upanishad. It analyzes the whole universe very, very beautifully, and it can teach us the structure of the universe. Atma by itself is incapable of entertaining any thought. These are all Shankaracharya's explanations. What I have written here is just the translations which I have heard. Atma contributes to the consciousness portion of the experience. It does not contribute to the thought. The thought portion belongs to the mind. Mind is jada. It can generate thoughts based on the world. But mind by itself cannot become the experiencer. Mind contributes to the thought for experience. Mind is jadam. It is not conscious. See, many times we have emotions. We feel that we are the mind. We don't know we are the witness of the mind. Mind is an instrument which is witnessed by I, the consciousness. Why do we say mind is an object? Because it is panchabhutas. In Tattvabodha, mind is composed of the subtle aspect of the panchabhutas. Prithvi, Vayu, Jalam. All these elements, they constitute the mind. The sattvic aspect of the panchabhutas go in formation of the mind. The rajasic portion becomes the prana. And the tamasic portion becomes the word. This is Tattvabodha knowledge. So any experience requires, it is a joint venture between Atma and mind, and Atma combination alone is the experiencer. Very, very important point. Useful to us to understand Mandukya Upanishad also. Turiyam by itself is not the experiencer. The experiencer is a combination of mind and Turiyam. It is the mixture which is called as the Jiva. That is why the Jiva can drop the mind and then say, I am the Turiyam. Atma Bodha says, by discrimination between Atma and Anatma, I can separate the self and the non-self. 25th verse of Atma Bodha is very useful for those senior seekers who are doing this Bhashyam and all that. Sometimes to take off and then revise Atma Bodha, you will find Atma Bodha will make a lot of sense after you go through the Bhashyam. I know something means what? There is a Satchit Atma portion, which is the Chaitanya portion, which is the consciousness portion, and knowledge means what? Vritti. Mind contributes to the thought. So thought plus consciousness is experience. Consciousness alone cannot be the experiencer or the experience. Thought alone cannot be the experience. Atmano vikriya nasti. Atma can never do anything without the help of intellect. Only when the intellect is there and the Atma can then say, I know. In the sleep state, I am there as Atma. In the waking state, I, Atma, together with the mind, say I am. That individuality, I am, comes only when the Atma joins with the mind. What do we think? That this individuality is me alone. Because I don't know Atma, I think the mind to be me. That is the problem. That is where the adhyasa has to be removed. That is why this type of knowledge of very deep, these are what we are discussing is an extremely deep knowledge about the process of knowledge which happens in all of us. See, normally we don't think when we want to understand who I am, only then you will go to all these depths. Normally in our transactions, we will never ask this type of analysis will never come. So, experiencer is Atma plus the mind. The combination is the experiencer. Mind belongs to the mixture. Mind by itself is Jadam, it doesn't even exist. Mind is experiencer with the help of Atma. Atma is the experience with the support of the mind. See, these are all step-by-step knowledge being transferred. If you are able to follow this type of analysis by Shankaracharya, when you arrive at the final conclusion of how to separate the Atma from the mind, it will become very easy. That will come in the 18th, after in the topic 156, 157. Now, experiencer status can be given to the Atma, which is the parent, to the mind, which is the child. For example, father. Who is the parent? Parent is either a father or mother. It can be given, the parenthood can be given to both. So similarly, the experiencerhood can be given to the Atma as well as the mind. That is what Shankaracharya says. In this context, mind is the experiencer of the dream. You give the credit to the mind, but not to the heart. Dream status belongs to the mind. Mind experiences the dream. So, in the second mantra itself, we have said the Deva is the mind. In the fifth mantra also, Shankaracharya says, it is a continuation of the same topic from second mantra to the fifth mantra. Don't take Atma as the Deva. Swatantriyam, independent experiencer code cannot be given to Atma. Even in Bhagavad Gita, the Kshetrajna, we have studied chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means what? Experiencer. But experiencer with the upadhi called the mind. The medium is the mind. Without the medium, you can't call it Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means experiencer. The status of Atma as Kshetrajna is possible only when the mind is existing. Otherwise, what happens to the consciousness? It is called as Turiya. Neither it is the cause, neither it is the effect. It is pure consciousness. Atma by itself can never be the experiencer of the waking, dream, and sleep state. That is why in the seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad, the waker is dropped, dreamer is dropped, sleeper is dropped, because they're all combination of Atma and the mind. Because your goal is what? Not the wakerhood, dreamerhood, and the sleeperhood, which is together called as the Jiva, but that same Jivatvam has to be dropped, and Jiva has to recognize, I am that Paramatma, pure consciousness. The three statuses belong to the mind combination with Atma. For example, in a dead body also, Atma is there because Atma is all pervading and it is Nitya. It is what? It is ever there. But in the dead body, what happens? There is no mind. The mind has left. Mind has left along with the Indriyams, as said in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the conclusion? Consciousness cannot experience anything if there is no mind. Now, in this particular portion, Shankaracharya uses this verse, now starts the usage of Vedantic. This is another section of this analysis. We are going to use about 6 or 7 mantras of Vedantic. In the next 50 slides, we are going to use Vedantic Upanishad mantra. In this section, the 4th chapter, 1st section, 7th mantra is used. This is from Shukla Yajurveda portion of Madhyadina Shakha. There are 2 shakhas. There are 2 schools of Vedantic Upanishad, Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda. Here, the same thing as one who has mother and father and teacher should say that the son okay, this portion it says that it is Prajapati is Brahman. You see, mind is Brahman. Mind is Atma. Because without Atma, there is no mind. That is said in 417. In 437 of Khanwa portion, it says that the light in the mind belongs to the Atma. Jayati eva lilayati eva. Atma appears to be moving. Atma appears to be stationary. It appears to move between two different worlds, from dream state to waking state to sleep state, appears. But actually, what Atma never moves. Atma is stationary. It is always effulgent principle. What moves is the mind. So Yajurveda has got Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda. Shukla Yajurveda has got two schools, Khandva portion and Madhyadimika portion. So here Shankaracharya uses these two schools and then comments on the Khandva portion. Vidyaranya in Panchadasi, he quotes the Madhyadina portion. Shankaracharya quotes the Khandva portion. Anyway, this is just a candidate. Atma becomes, what is the quotation? These quotations of Vedantic Upanishad, what is the purpose of the quotation? Atma alone becomes the experiencer of the waking, dream, and sleep in association with the mind. So, with reference to the Vyavaharika world, Atma is called as experiencer because the mind is involved. But in the Paramarthika sense, Atma alone is. So try to differentiate the Paramarthika level which we all experience in the sleep state. In the sleep state, what happens? The sense organs are dropped, the mind is dropped. The only thing which is existing in the sleep state is the ignorance, which I don't know that I am Atma. Through the study of this Upanishad and the analysis of the waking, dream, and sleep, I should be able to say, I am not sleeping to my nature, but I am awake to my nature, which is Turiya. Experiencer status of the mind is the glory of mind, which is the Deva. That is what Shankaracharya wants to say. Purvapakshi is saying it is the glory of Atma. Shankaracharya says it is not the glory of Atma, it is the glory of the mind. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the dream experience and the sleep experience is beautifully analyzed. But the problem is they are all very big Upanishads. By the time you understand Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, you know it's it's the biggest Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya. But what Shankaracharya beautifully does is, in his commentaries, he takes the relevant portions of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which have got very beautiful knowledge about discrimination of Atma and Anatma. He brings those into his commentary in Mandukya as well as in Prasno Upanishad. That is why these commentaries, they get a lot of life. See how lively this Atma principle becomes once you know the three states. Three states belong to the mind, not to me, the Atma. Ever Swayam Jyoti. I am ever self-evident Atma. So Atma experiences waking, dream, and sleep is also correct. Mind experiences waking, dream, sleep is also. In Vedantic Upanishad, the fourth chapter is called as Swayam Jyoti Brahmana. Here, Atma is self-effulgent. In the dream state, the man himself becomes the light. This is quoted by the Purva Pakshi. He says in the dream state, the light, Atma becomes the light. That's why he keeps on saying that mind is the, he doesn't understand the mind is the reflection of consciousness. And Purva Pakshi's interpretation is what? Atma is self-evident, self-effulgent is all the time. In waking, dream, and sleep also, Atma is self-effulgent. In dream, Atma is revealing the dream. In dream state, mind is absent. Mind is also resolved in dream according to Purva Paksha. See, this is another important point which is a mistake of the Purva Paksha. See, by knowing what are the mistakes committed by others, that is the beauty of Shankaracharya's comment. He will point out, he'll bring out a mistake in a Purva Paksha and he will say something which will correct the mistake, which he will do a little later on. Just now he is pointing out the mistake of the Purva Paksha. Atma without, see what the Purva Pakshi says that there is no mind at all in dream. It is the glory of Atma only. The whole state of dream state belongs to Atma. Mind does not exist for the Purva Pakshi. But for Shankaracharya, mind has the glory, and it is Atma, the light of Atma, which reveals the glory of the mind. So the conclusion of the Purva Pakshi is what? In dream, mind is not there. So this particular topic, number 142, is the this particular topic of 142, which we have discussed, is the Purva Pakshi portion. I will just try to connect the internet. Just a minute. So the next portion is Shankaracharya's reply to this Purva Pakshi, who talks about the dream. In the dream, mind is not there. Shankaracharya will reply now. What does he say? The 143rd topic. See, all these are all verse number 5 only. Shankaracharya writes a huge commentary, 18-20 topics. So what does he say in this particular mantra? He says, experience the state of Atma is possible only in the presence of mind alone. See, this is the main thing which Shankaracharya wants to again emphasize the point, so that we also understand that in the waking state, my mind is there. In the dream state, my mind is there. In the sleep state, also mind is there, but it is got the vritti of Karana Sharira. It is not the vritti of the mind. It is the vritti. It is the thought of Karana Sharira. This portion is extremely important for us to understand Atma. Try to get it. If you can get it, it's very good. If you don't get it, try to put questions in the chat box. I will try to explain again. But don't worry. We will be going through this again and again in the next 40-50 slides. Upanishad talks of Swayam Jyoti in the 4th chapter. Atma by itself cannot say I am, because it requires the mind. To say I am, it will require a thought. That means your mind should be active, which means only in the waking state I can say I am. So Atma can have the status of revelation I am only if the mind is there. See, knowing this fact I can know that I am Atma in my sleep state. See, when we know, you try to understand your. See, that is the beauty of Prasno Upanishad. It is focusing more on our experience, Anubhava. It is asking the question: when do you feel you are? I am. Only in the waking state. You feel I am, and what is the? How do you get this feeling I am? Because mind is active. But mind can only bring the thought portion. What reveals the thought is Atma. Swayam Jyotishtam status is Vyavaharika Satyam. It is not Paramarthika Satyam. Paramarthically, Atma is pure consciousness. Vyavaharically, Atma is there with the mind. When it is with the mind, it gets the status of Swayam Prakasha. This is a slightly subtle topic. Try to absorb this. With the help of mind, Atma becomes self-evident. Without the mind, Atma is pure consciousness. For example, bulb. It is self-illuminous, reveals everything else without being revealed by others. For example, wall is not self-luminous. Bulb is self-luminous. The tungsten, it will reveal the bulb itself and the objects in the world around in the room. But the wall is not self-luminous. Wall can't reveal itself or others. So similarly, consciousness can reveal itself only when the other things are present. By itself, it is only pure consciousness. Many people ask the question, how come in sleep state I am not aware and I can say I am consciousness? Why don't we have that? Because here the answer lies in this Prasno Upanishad. In this portion. Swa itara sarva aprakashate sati swa itara sarva prakashatvam. That's what the Shankaracharya uses. See, in Advaitam, swaprakashatvam, self-evident, can't be used. Only in Vyavaharika Avastha, when Anatma is there, Atma can be said to be self-revealing and it is revealing Anatma. Anatma is not self-revealing, Atma is self-revealing, it reveals itself and it reveals Anatma. Anatma cannot reveal Atma. Try to get this. That is why in the sleep state, Atma is there. There is no Anatma at that point. Because there is no other second object in the universe, Atma by itself can remain as Atma, and that is what I have to understand as my real nature. Whether the death comes for the Stula Shariram, I am not bothered. Whether there is body evident during the waking state, I am not bothered. Because I am not this body. I am that Atma. This is the way I have to do the differentiation. In the Swapna Avastha, we don't say mind is absent. We say mind is present and Atma is the revealer of that. Same thing happens in the waking state also. Mind is there, sense, but in the waking, what happens? Another extra instrument is added, which is the sense organs. There are two words which are used in Sanskrit language. One is called as Vyanjakam, another is called as Vyanjyam. Try to get this point. This is a very subtle point again. Atma is Vyanjyam. Vyanjyam means it reveals. It reveals the universe. It reveals anatma. What is the role of anatma? Anatma manifests atma. Suppose you take the example of moonlight and sunlight. Moonlight, the light in the moon doesn't belong to the moon, but it belongs to the sun. So sunlight reveals the moon. But what is the role of moonlight? By looking at the moonlight, it manifests the sun. Similarly, by looking at my body, I can say my body manifests Atma. But what is the role of Atma? Atma reveals this body. It illumines this body. I cannot see that Atma because it is myself. It is the subject. So consciousness illumines the wall manifests consciousness. These two words, manifest and reveal, they define the self-luminosity of Atma. Okay. Next is the revision. If there is something which I have not covered, I will cover it. Atma contributes consciousness for every experience. Mind contributes thought for every experience. Experience means thought is involved. Revelation means consciousness is involved. Try to get these two words and the differentiation of the two. Thought and consciousness both are required. Sentiency and jadam. Jadam portion is the thought portion. Sentiency portion comes from the Atma. Whenever we say I'm experiencing something, it is a mixture of this Atma and Anatma. That is why in Shankara Bashyam, Adhyasa Bashyam, Shankaracharya states this very clearly at the end of the Adhyasa Bashyam. What he says is, all our vyavahara proves Adhyasa. There is Adhyasa. Because without Adhyasa, there is no experience. Which is again what is being said by Shankaracharya here. Mind is experiencer backed by Atma, or Atma is the experiencer supported by the mind. These are the two ways in which we express the nature of Atma and the mind. Okay, this portion we have already covered, this 4.3.14. Swayam Jyoti definition is illuminator of other objects without being illumined by others. See, what do we call it as self-evident? Self-evident means it illumines other objects. For example, Atma is there in the waking state, it is illuminating other objects. But other objects, the Anatma body, is not revealing the Atma. It only manifests the Atma. Tube light illumines all objects. Objects do not illumine the tube. Same way, Atma and Anatma. Atma is the illuminator with the help of mind. Mind manifests Atma. So verbal expressions are very, very important when we try to understand Upanishads. In our normal vyavahara, what do we say? I'm the body, and we act in the world. But when it comes to the knowing the Upanishadic view of what we are experiencing, we have to get into these type of discussions. Next topic is 144. Here, two mantras of Vedantic Upanishad are being quoted by Shankaracharya. fourth chapter and second chapter. The fourth chapter mantra, very, very important mantra. It is very, very important even for meditation purposes. You can note this mantra. What does this mantra say? Only when there is something to see, to hear, to taste, or to touch, then only we can say, I know something. Very important mantra talking about duality and non-duality. Duality is mithya. According to Vedanta, duality is mithya. That means my knower status is mithya. Mithya means what? It only appears, but it is not factually there. So, duality or plurality, there is a second thing available. Then only there is illumination, there is knowingness. Knowing in Vedanta means illumination. Consciousness illumines the sense organs and the mind. The mind and the sense organs, they know the world. So any knowledge depends on the illuminator consciousness. Also, it depends on the known object. So two things are important. Consciousness is important, object is important. Then only knowledge, vyavahara, takes place. Knowingness happens through a process. What is the process? Known object should be there, consciousness should be there, and the mind connects both of them. Suppose the mind is passive, there is no duality. In that state, what happens? That consciousness which was illumining the world and the knowledge process, it alone is. That is what we say, Turiyam alone is. And when it alone is, it is called as Paramarthika Satyam. Now, can you understand the difference between Vyavaharika and Paramarthikam? Vyavaharikam means the mind plus the sense organs are involved, and I have a knowledge process happening. Whether it is waking or dream, knowledge is happening. That is why in Mandukya Upanishad, waking is equated to dream, because both are knowledge process. Triputi is involved, knower, knowing instrument is there. But what is called as Paramarthikam? Paramarthikam is that state in which the mind has gone to sleep and the sense organs are sleeping, which is our deep sleep state. In that state alone, the Upanishad reveals my nature as Swayam Jyoti. I am self-existent principle called as Atma. See how beautifully Prasno Upanishad reveals to us this Atma. Okay. The next quotation is the 15th verse. I think we have. Here in the 15th verse, it describes the sleep state and how we go back to the waking state, from the sleep state, again to the waking state. And in all these three states, what happens to the Atma? This is the mantra which talks about the Sangatvam of Atma is present. In its presence, the entire three states happen. And the three states belong to the mind. The jiva is something which is connected with the mind. Atma alone is. That Atma is non-dual. It is Advaita. See, now you are able to understand Dvaitam and Advaita. The moment you are able to understand Dvaitam and Advaitam, slowly you are getting into the binary format, which means it is I, the Atma, and the world, which is Anatma. The Atma does not have any contact with the instrument of the sense organs or the sense objects or the mind. It is there, it is useful to reveal the world, but it has no connection with the world. Therefore, Atma is called as Swayam Jyoti. Swayam Jyoti means it is Advaitam principle. See, these mantras of Vedantic Upanishad, they reveal Advaitam very, very beautifully. So in this 2.4.14 Vedantic Upanishad, there is no duality. When there is duality, one can smell something, one can hear something. That means I can hear the sound, somebody is ringing a bell in the temple, I can hear. That is duality. In sleep, the mind is not functioning, indriyas are not functioning. If there are temple sound, somebody is ringing in that temple also, I will not hear it because I'm sleeping. So when there is nothing to hear, nothing to see, nothing to smell, that is the state of Atma. In Vedanta, this is the mantra. That's what it says. Through what one should know that Atma? The answer is there is nothing which can reveal this Atma. Therefore, it is the Upanishad which helps me to understand this nature of Atma. So there is no instrument, there is no object in Atma. Knower, knowing process is not there. In that state, I can say I am the non-dual. That is what is called as Paramarthika Avastha. Vyavaharika Avastha, sense organs, mind is there. In the dream also, Vyavaharika, it is Pratibhasika. It is a type of Vyavahara. Okay? We will stop here. Next week, we will start next week, we are not going to have a class. I am traveling out of Singapore. And so next week, there is no class, which is the 28th December, Saturday. And also the Sunday session, 29th December. These two sessions will not be there. We will resume on the 4th of January and the 5th of January. 4th of January is the Saturday class, and the 5th of January is the Sunday class. And we will start from the topic number 145 next week, on the week of 4th January. And so in case you're not attending tomorrow's session, I wish you all a very, very happy New Year. And we'll continue our study of Prasno Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad when the new year begins. But we are in a very, very interesting portion of both the Upanishads. Both Prasno and the Mandukya Upanishad, we are studying the Bashyam, which is a very rare thing. You see, seekers don't get an opportunity to study the Bashyam. Even if you go through the YouTube, you will not find Bashyam study in many of the releases. Normal Prashna Upanishad, and you can get all the Upanishads, but Bashyam study is very rare. Bashyam study is extremely important to reveal Atma, to know the real nature of our own body-mind complex, and the world, we must study the Bhashya. Like today, for example, very beautiful session we had. Slowly, we try to understand the nature of our experiences. Oh, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachade, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, I'll go through the chat box first. Manikandan says in Karana Shariram, all the duality is an unmanifest condition. Yes, you're right. Like a seed. A seed, like for a tree, similarly, Karana Shariram is seed state. In this case, how Karana Shariram can divide the mind into subject and object in waking and dream? Is it like seed becoming trunk, branch, leaves, fruits, trees when it manifests into a tree? Similarly, is the Karana Shariram can manifest into subject, object, mind, and the waking and the dreams. Okay. There is one small mistake which you are making, and that is, it is not the Karana Shariram which is divided. Karana Shariram is at the back end. But what divides is not the Karana Shariram, it is the subtle mind which becomes the subject and object. Of course, Karana Shariram is involved. It is there in at the background. Without the Karana Shariram, there is no Sukshma Shariram. But the split of the subject and object is not by the Karana Shariram, but it is by the mind. This you will learn in the next two classes, where Shankaracharya himself will clarify this. So just wait for two more sessions. You will understand how this division takes place. Shankaracharya has just got a very beautiful portion to explain what you are asking. At this stage, just remember what are the things which are involved. Number one, consciousness must be present. Number two, there should be a reflection of consciousness, which is called as Chid Abhasa. Number three, there has to be a reflecting material, which is called as the Sukshma Shariram, which is the subtle mind. Number four, there should be a Karana Shariram, without which there cannot be a mind. Okay? Then the next portion, what you're asking is experience Atma plus Tripoti is equal to Atma plus mind. Mind is nothing but Atma, like the pot is nothing but clay. And mind is Mithya. Yeah, clay and pot is Mithya, clay is Satyam. Atma is Satyam, mind is Mithya. So all the experiences belong to the mind. Therefore, we say experiences are Mithya. Why? Because mind is Mithya. Mind is Mithya means what? Mind cannot exist without I, the Atma, the consciousness. So, a lot of knowledge is going to come in the following two sessions of this chapter. Try to revise this chapter when you come on the 4th of January, because it's a continuation of this current topic. very beautiful section of Prasno Upanishad where you are studying the three states and how they happen. Very, very beautiful section. This type of analysis you don't get anywhere else in any other Upanishad. This fifth mantra, it has got 17, 18 topics of Shankaracharya. We have finished about, we have another 16, another 11 or 12 portions of the mantra of the Shankaracharya Bhashyams. So just wait, but I've given you a brief answer just now. Have you got any questions on this, Manikandan? Shanmugam, can you unmute everybody?
Namaste, Sagarji. Thank you very much, and wish you advance New Year wishes.
Thank you very much.
I have one question along with this. When you say the Triputi Baditam, when we need to discard the Triputi, So in our waking experience, the Triputi is always present. So only in the knowledge that like pot and clay. So Triputi is like a pot and the clay is the Atma. So we need to consider that in every experience, this Triputi is present, and it is just like the pot. We have to discard it like a mithya, but we need to experience it. We have to experience the pot, but we can use the pot, but we understand that it is a clay. The same way, this Triputi Baditam is like we cannot negate. Absolutely, we cannot negate it. Only like with the knowledge. In every experience, we need to negate this Triputi.
That's correct. Very, very, very correctly put. You are. I'm very happy that you are able to come out with this learning because this is a very important learning. See, that is why in the seventh mantra we say na anta prajnam na bahish prajnam. I'm not the waker. I'm not the dreamer. I'm not the sleeper. These three states belong to the mind. They are like the pot, nama and rupa. Pot is nothing but name and form. Wakerhood is nothing but name and form. Dreamer is nothing but name and form. But the name and form is not my real swarupa. What is the real swarupam? Clay is the real swarupam of the pot. Atma, the pure consciousness, is the real nature. Knowing this alone gives me moksha. There is nothing which will give us moksha, the freedom from this body. This is what is called as moksha. Only knowledge. See, while listening itself, you should say, I am free. Shankaracharya, in his commentary, he says very clearly, during Shravanam itself, you should say, yes, I am free. I am Atma, finished. That's all. My knowledge is complete. This is only knowledge because the Pramanam is the Veda. There is no other source of knowledge to prove that I am Atma except the Upanishadic mantra. Like this fifth mantra. It clearly says I am the Atma, I am not the mind. Mind is the experiencer of the dream state. I am the one who illumines the mind. Mind is important because without the mind, I can never have the dream state. Similarly, mind is important in the waking. Without the mind, I can never have the waking experience. Experiences will go on. As per the prarabdha of the body, you will still have your family, you will enjoy, you will go on a holiday, you will see all those things. All this is as per the law of karma, as per the law of the universe. You don't have to worry that I am not going to have any enjoyment because I'm doing Vedanta study. No. Vedanta is in spite of all these experiences, like in spite of the experience of the sunrise and the sunset I say, in my mind, I say there is no sunrise. It is only the earth which is going around the sun. Similarly, the waking state, dream state is not my real nature. It is what is real nature is good. I'm very happy, Manikandan. You have picked up so fast all these things. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, when we do in the meditation, I used to struggle because we struggle with this triputi. We try to resolve this triputi by controlling the mind and controlling the thoughts. We don't
Yes,
want to get this trouble. So now, slowly, because of the teachings from you, we can slowly relieve ourselves from this kind of. Of course, it is required to control the mind to understand to understand the Veda initial stage, but later stage, the meditation sessions are really helpful rather than focusing on a triputi, focusing on the knowledge, like what is the real essence. It's helping. Thank you,
yes.
Sakhriji.
Good, very good. See, I'm so happy that you are made the use of all these meditation sessions also. See, the meditation sessions, they help us to understand the scriptures better. See, that is the beauty of these meditations. They are all Vedantic meditations. I'm taking this up, that verse of the Bhagavad Gita, which says that Atma is asangaha like the space. And what do I meditate? I am the Atma. I am not at all. In my presence, yes, the body mind is working. In my presence, all the experiences are happening, but I am not part of the experience. I am ever free from the experience. This relationship, relationless relationship, this transcendence along with immanency. That is the beauty of this learning. And what we have learned today is extremely deep subject, very deep subject. And next 2, 3 sessions of Prasno Upanishad are going to be very interesting because Shankaracharya comes with brilliant analysis. You will never find this type of analysis in any other Bhashya. This is a very unique Bhashya of Prasno Upanishad where he analyzes and he comes out with a very logical way also. You just wait for it. You'll say, or you can read the notes. When you read the notes, you'll enjoy it. Thank you, Manikandan. Anybody else has any other remark or any other questions of today's session?
Shekharji, Venkatesh here.
Yeah,
Namaste.
Venkatesh, tell me.
Today's class is something very, very subtle. That's what my understanding. So this is like a dissection of the mind, taking the subject aspect of the mind and the object aspect of the mind. That's a very, very subtle portion. And also, Dvaita is required to manifest Advaita. This is another greatest knowledge point. Very, very big knowledge point I could say. And this require, I mean, this is like this particular fifth mantra, what I just see, this is like a true example of all three experiences, Shruti, Yukti, as well as logic. Everything is there actually. It's not like a very straight thing where we can do that simple analysis actually. Like when we just see the how he's trying to analyze. I'm just trying to go through. I just gone through a few times and I could see that when he's saying the mind is like from the Tattva point of view, consciousness plus object. The thought is nothing but a conscious plus object. Both are required actually. So neither thought exists without consciousness, nor consciousness has any significance of revealing the thought actually. Both are required. So the interface between the mind and the consciousness, which is that reflected consciousness, is also taken into consideration to consider the subject part of the mind. That reflected consciousness is the subjected part of the mind, and the object through which this entire thing, what we are seeing, that is the object part of the mind. So together, that's why he's saying that Atma is also experiencing as well as the mind is also experiencing. The question is basically who is experiencing the mind? That itself is a very big question actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to say that we cannot say it is only Atma because Atma is a nirvikara. And we cannot say it is mind because mind is anatma. So these together is connected by that reflected consciousness, the sentiency principle, which is making the mind to be active. This is very, very scientific because if somebody is having this engineering principle and all that, there is a process called, ammonia. When they mix nitrogen and hydrogen, this is called the synthesis process. So that process is called Haber. So nitrogen and hydrogen, they don't mix together. In presence of a catalyst, that reaction takes place. So what catalyst does is it doesn't react with anything. It doesn't react with nitrogen, doesn't react with but only in presence of that it happens. So in presence of that consciousness only the mind can experience, and mind is experiencing only because of that Atma is there. So it's a very, very subtle, I could say, to knowledge this thing. And also in the sleep state, it is revealing that we are with Atma, but we are not able to know because of the ignorance. So that is where the knowledge is required. So from Dvaita to get into Advaita, knowledge is required.
Yes, that's correct.
So this is the revelation. Why knowledge is required to get into from Dvaita to Advaita state? Why only knowledge is required? Sleep is the best example. With this particular, I could get the clarity that the knowledge is the one which is making this revelation. So like, when the object can be revealed in presence of the light, without light, we do not know the object actually. But object manifests the light. So Advaita manifests the Advaita, which can happen only with the knowledge.
Yes. That's why we say Veda is a source of knowledge. We use it as a pramana.
It's a pramana. It's a source of knowledge. Today's I find is a very, very scientific and very logic and very subtle, extremely subtle. So this is a bit different from the other Upanishads. We have to accept that.
Yeah, very, very different. Yeah. Very different.
Yeah, this Bashyam is something very, very extremely.
It's an outstanding Bashyam. This is an outstanding commentary of Shankaracharya on the three states. And his analysis of the mind getting split into subject and object, both in the dream state and the waking state, is absolutely amazing and outstanding.
There is a very nicely, he has put this fact check consideration. Yeah.
Thank you, Venkatesh.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else has any other questions or any other remarks? Okay, so if there are no other questions, we'll stop here. We'll continue in the new year. We'll continue this study of Prasno Bashyam, and I wish you all a very, very happy new year. And let's grow together in spirituality. And let's hope 2025 we are able to really appreciate the Shankaracharya's Bashyam study. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Namaste. Happy New Year, Shekharji.
Yeah, Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to
Hari
all.
Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Thank you, Shama. Thank you.